What happened to 3, 2, 1?
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Chatbox, everybody. We are your mental health podcast here in Vale Valley. I'm Liz, my co-host Jen Saito, and we are joined by two beautiful ladies right now. We will get to them, but first I want to let you know where we're coming from. High Five Access Media. We have this beautiful podcast room that they basically built. I'm going to say they built it for us. If they build it, we will come, and we did, and there you go. And we are super happy to be here. And thanks to B. Ferraro, who works here over at High Five. It's because of them that you two ladies are here. They referred me to you. We chatted, and there you are. So we have Palma Palmatier and Kendra Knowles from PEER, P-E-E-R, and it stands for Promoting Empowerment, Eagle River County. Yeah, good memory, right? Yeah, I have a really good memory. So anyways, I'm super happy to have you guys here. Jen, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. I know. Feel like I haven't seen you.
We were off last week.
Yeah, we were off. We missed each other for a week. It's all sad after that. So now, Paula, you were telling us before we started that you've been here for how many years?
Been in the Valley. My husband and I, Oren, have been in the... Thank you. Yeah, my husband and I, Oren, have been in the Vale area since 1970, so almost 56 years, yeah.
That's incredible.
Seen a lot of changes in 56 years.
I was just about to say, you must have seen when it was like a one-horse town and a taco stand on the corner of Edwards, and that was it, right?
Well, I mean, there was a gas house, there was a gas station.
Right, that's correct.
And a trailer park. And we, at first, the first summer, we lived in a mobile home here in Avon, and all there was a mobile home park where Bob's Bridge is now. And a general store at the entrance to what it was now Beaver Creek. So it was small.
That's where she's inside a messaging microphone. You have a very sweet voice, so I have to pick you up a little bit.
Okay.
You don't sound like a booming boy like I do. I don't know why. And you might have to bring your face a little closer too, but I'm so happy to have you here. So Paula, you said you have been part of PEER since the beginning.
Right. I'll just explain a little bit about how we started.
Okay.
We were the Red Ribbon Project before we were PEER. We rebranded a couple of years ago to PEER. But we have a mission to empower the community, especially young people, to take care of themselves, to promote their well-being, especially around sexual health. So that was Red Ribbon Project, because Red Ribbon is the international symbol for AIDS, HIV and AIDS.
Oh, gosh, I forgot. You're right.
Right. So
I haven't thought about that in so long.
We started as an HIV and AIDS empowerment organization. We started very small, but in 1996, 30 years ago, AIDS was still a very big issue around the world and in this country.
I remember when it first came up.
Yeah, they just had gotten the antiretroviral, ATZ, AZT.
Right.
Yeah, AZT. And it was still an issue. And there was an ad in the paper. There were two young people who were here for the winter. They had just graduated from college. And in college, they had volunteered to work with HIV and AIDS projects in their area. And they were surprised there wasn't anything in Eagle County. So they called everyone together who was interested. We went to the Avon Library in April of that year. And from there, we became the Red Ribbon Project. So we were incorporated about a month after that.
What a great name.
Yeah.
What made you change it?
Well, Kinder can explain that. Yeah. We have changed over the years because HIV and AIDS is not as major an issue now. But our main focus is with youth and still with prevention education.
Great.
When we started, we were thinking that we needed to have a support group for people in the Valley who were HIV positive. But because the virus has a lot of stigma attached to it, it just never happened.
Okay.
Yeah. But we continued. And in 2000, I think it was almost 4 years later, we developed a curriculum for specifically middle and high school Latino students. So the curriculum was in 100% in Spanish because that was one of the most marginalized communities and had the most stigma probably of any, that in the Black community. I volunteered in Harlem in 1989.
Wow.
I lived in a homeless shelter for the summer.
Really? What was that like?
It was amazing.
Yeah?
It was a wonderful experience. But because as a volunteer, I lived with the community, these were people in recovery, Latino and Black primarily, not exclusively.
When you say in recovery, is that
From drug addiction.
drug addiction? Okay.
Yeah. So it was a safe community. Volunteers lived with the people that were in residence in recovery. And so I got very acquainted with HIV and AIDS. I lost a lot of people that I had met there in New York.
Wow, that's sad.
So when I got back here, I would go off and on for about 5 years to Harlem and then help them with some grant writing and just some community organizing. And then in '96, when these two young people called this gathering at Avon Library, I said, oh, yeah, I have to do this.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've been involved ever since on the board.
That's impressive. And thank you for everything that you've done. Raising awareness, keeping people safer and more knowledgeable is so important, because even though I remember when the fear of HIV came about, the only thing we were ever worried about before that was getting pregnant. And I'm sure you guys cover that as well, because you're doing sexual talks with all the kids. So I know that you cover that as well. But I just remember that a very close family member of mine ended up with HIV. They've been living with it for 35 years.
Yes, it's possible.
So So what the point is, no matter what the disease may be or anything like that, there's ways now that people can combat it, or at least live longer, or maybe just live with it with the proper medication for a lifelong stint.
Right. And I think, students know that too. So I don't think they're as fearful as they used to be.
That's the truth. I don't think they're as fearful, because there's ways, because they know that they don't have to think they're going to perish from it.
Right. When I grew up, it was a death sentence. Like there was
right.
a way around it. And so it was terrifying. There was so much misinformation about AIDS and how you contract it and all of that.
Right.
And so, I think finally, we're because of groups like yours, like we get that information and we are able to dispel some of that stigma and the myths that go with that.
And still, I mean, we tell students, and Kendra can elaborate on this, that this is not something you want not just HIV, but any STD, because we don't just cover HIV, we cover all sexually transmitted diseases.
I mean,
it's not something you want.
No, it's not something you want. You don't want to be on medication for your life. And you also, and the fact that you bring it up, remember, drug use was a big reason why people were catching HIV as well. Everybody stigmatized it as a queer disease, which is so not even close to the truth. There were many factors: blood transfusions, hospital visits, dentists,
dirty equipment.
Yeah.
Even tattooing, because we used to talk about that too, is that if you're not aware of the fact that if you go to a tattoo studio, especially in the city, say New York City, and you don't know how they're sanitizing the needles,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
at first I was mortified when I heard they were passing out sterile needles. I was like, part of me was like, that's enabling. But then again, it's also helping save lives, but yet there had to be like a little brochure with the free needle, please don't. I mean, that's why I was always on the fence about that. But I also understand that addiction is the hardest thing to kick.
Right.
So
and needle, clean needle, it saves lives. At least gives people a chance to
heal,
find maybe that next step to recovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, needle exchange. Yeah. It's also, and
that's a big deal.
Especially, it's a big deal. Still,
I mean, it kind of broadens that conversation around stigma, whether it's with HIV or an STI or drug use or addiction, that there's stigma around it. And that's a lot of what we want to do is have these conversations so it's normalized.
Yeah.
Also afraid or embarrassed or just hiding and alone. It's important to have these conversations and then find the supports that you need out there.
Absolutely. And it causes so much emotional turmoil within one's mind when they're going through something like this. You think your world is done. I mean, it's just such a fearful experience. And there are other transmittable things that people can get. And if they go unnoticed, then they have a bigger fear than they would of HIV.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's the other thing, that we do provide free HIV and now all STD testing.
Oh, nice.
It's very important.
Yeah,
to be, especially if you're going into a relationship, new relationship, or you just don't know. Maybe you were exposed, maybe something in the past. So we do that. We did that at the beginning when we incorporated, and we still offer that free.
Wonderful.
And Kendra can explain a little more.
Oh, good. I'm excited. Can you bring your mic to you a little closer just so we can hear you very well? I know it's set up. I'm sure we can hear you bouncing off everybody, so it's okay. So Kendra, you're amazing. We've been chatting a little bit here and there. And what is your position with Peer?
Yeah. So as Paula mentioned, I've been connected with the organization for years. So in and out, I've helped with the education programs. I've done a little grant writing. I've served on the board. And then most recently, I have taken the position as executive director.
Nice.
So going back to what you were saying, Paula, with the flyer on the wall, the paper, I originally got interested in this work when this was almost 20 years ago. At CMC, there was a flyer for really pure education over in Africa. So it was train the trainers to work with young educators to educate their community. And so
That's very cool.
spreading information to then help others. So empowering them way back then. And what I came back with was, wow, I am so grateful that we live in a place that really encourages people to get the information they need, and it's accessible, because there was so much misinformation, as there still is, but the lack of understanding and, the rumors that were out there were not helping people and actually hurting people. And so that was really powerful to see and appreciate that here in the U.S. And then after that experience, I found Red Ribbon Project to connect back with that experience and kind of connect with the global HIV/AIDS effort, but then really what we can do in this community. And I think some of the same challenges are still here. The stigma, lack of access and resources, and misinformation. 20 years ago, it was word of mouth. But now, if I am nervous and I don't know what's going on and I have fear, guess where I go? It's the internet, and who knows what kind of information.
No, that's a rabbit hole we don't like.
Absolutely.
Google has told me I am almost dying before, It's like, okay, don't look at that. Do not look up a symptom that you think you have. It's really, really, because they don't know you. It's just kind of funny. But people really do that, and I have done it myself, so I know what it's like. Jen, you have sons, and they're of the age where they're probably a little frisky because they're boys. They were probably frisky for the last 10 years, actually.
That's not real.
Oh, really? I love it. But so don't you appreciate having an organization like this in our community, so you know that your kids can get education?
Oh, absolutely.
And not in an embarrassing way, I mean, we had sex ed in our school. We were all sitting there like giggling like idiots, not really paying much attention and trying to poke holes in the condoms that they passed out. So we really didn't. I know. Well, we were stupid back then, and we didn't really pay much attention to anything. And that's why a lot of us ended up in a lot of trouble. But the fact that you guys are here and you can really, what's the youngest age of children that you guys?
Currently, we start our maturation programs at 5th grade. Oh, and that's not our boys yet? Oh, they're past that.
No, they're past that. They're ready to make babies.
Great. So actually not. Part of it is, meeting students where they're at with their development and changes, so they can have the information and understanding, and also know where to go for resources. But then also, when you start talking about risky behaviors, we want to be in that preventative space before they're exposed to it. So earlier is better. And part of that, we've talked about it. It's an embarrassing subject. So, the more we talk about it, the better. And we've had a lot of parents and teachers come and say, oh, no, thank you for or sharing this information and doing the talk. And
parents don't want to do it for some reason. I don't understand why.
The talk, because every day is different with our kids.
Absolutely.
They're constantly changing and exposed to new pressures and new relationships and understanding their body. So it's a continual conversation.
I come from the days of birds and the bees, okay? Yeah. Who does it first, the bird or the bee? You know what I'm saying? It was just nuts. There's so much more information that we have now, and there's so many more ways to talk to young people and the young minds, because I feel like because there's such a bigger connectability between adults and their kids or other kids and adults, it makes it easier to have this conversation. And I feel like kids are a little bit more mature than I was when I was a kid. You know, I do. I feel like kids are a little bit more mature today than when they were the same age back in my day. So I think that helps a little bit. I don't know. What is the age where you feel the most comfortable discussing it without feeling like they're all giggling like idiots?
Well, I think that happens at
Anyway.
age.
It happens right now, and I'll still giggling about it.
And each age approaches it very differently. It seems like the fifth graders are very curious about what's coming up for me in that anticipation. And then you get into middle school and it's kind of, I got this, I know this. And then something you said was a little new. I'm just going to file out and wait. And maybe I won't need it today, but at least I have that information and know where to go for those resources. And then high school, I think it's all over the place as far as you talked about maturity. There are students that are mature in their relationships and comfortable in themselves and exploring. And then there's others that aren't there.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's really important that we reach them in that preventative space,
Right.
but also be there as you're going through it and dealing with this and starting to think about having sex or having sex, that you can come to us.
Yeah.
Or there's other trusted adults in this community. And that's a big message we try and get across, that it might not be mom that you come talk to, but you gotta have somebody that you can trust who can help you think through some of these tough situations, make good decisions, and find those resources.
I think that's just so wonderfully put, and it really makes a really big amount of sense for what you guys are doing here. Do you ever go into this just with the notion that kids are not being taught at home? Do you ever feel like, do you take the stand that they might not know anything and that you're going in new and fresh? And then do they ever say, oh, my mom's told me about that? Okay. So you go in feeling like they don't know anything yet. Okay.
Yeah, I think it runs the gamut. There are some students who have never, ever had this conversation or heard the word sex, or we're going to talk about periods and maturation. And then there's others that have a family or people that they talk to, and it's very comfortable and normalized. And so I think we see the whole spectrum.
Sure. I know. And then everybody's raised in a different way. And you don't have daughters, so I don't know what it would be like. I do not have kids. But I can tell you that I was super embarrassed when I was 14, so it was a little later. Everybody was like, when's it going to happen for me? Or talking about me. And then when it finally did happen, my dad went on his CB radio and announced it to every trucker in Florida. Yeah. So every time I got it, I'm like, I'm not telling anybody anything. Because it got out, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so embarrassing. So there are things that we can still feel, and we don't want to discuss it. We just don't want to discuss things that happen when it comes to sex. Do you guys, this is touchy, but I want to ask, do you deal with people who have dealt with unwanted attention? I'm trying to say it in a very pleasant way. People who have had sex unwillingly.
Oh, yes. That's another subject that's
very deep.
Important.
So tell me about
consent. Yeah, Kendra can tell you about that.
Yeah, in all of our classes from 5th grade through our 9th grade classes, we talk about healthy relationships, setting boundaries, and communication. So at 5th grade, we are teaching the word consent and what it could look like. You need to have people get permission to touch you, whether that's a hug or a handshake or even an activity. Like, you want to go play soccer with me on the field. So we start
That's
using that language in those classes. So they start thinking it and start practicing it. And then as the classes continue, we dive deeper in what's appropriate for their development. And then alongside our curriculum, we've really been responsive to what we're seeing in the community. And unfortunately, there are issues with consent here. And we've seen a lot of concerning data coming out of our Healthy Kids Colorado surveys. And while our youth are understanding consent, there was a lot of discrepancy on, did I give consent?
They have to understand,
Did
right?
I hear and get consent? So we really need to keep having those conversations on communication, and it needs to be a verbal yes.
Right, because emotionally they can be scarred thinking that it's their fault because they don't know if they have to understand what the consent is and what the boundaries are, because if they don't and then this happens and then they think, oh God, I didn't know what I was doing or something like that. Wow, 5th grade.
Do you go into schools or is it, okay, gotcha. So do you work with all of the schools in Eagle County or?
Yeah, so we've got great partnerships. So Eagle County Schools welcomes us in. And so usually we work with the science teacher or health teacher, and usually our point of entry is the counselor. So again,
Gotcha.
another trusted adult in the students' lives can help them feel comfortable, have the conversations, the learning, but then that wraparound resources are available. And then kind of going back to other challenges and issues, like if there is concern about consent or sexual violence, we partner closely with Bright Future Foundation.
Oh, that's amazing.
They help us with the 9th grade curriculum and come in and do a class called One Love. And again, dive into healthy relationships and really unpack what is consent and what it needs to look like.
I love that because I feel like because of the internet and access to things like porn and whatnot, I think that that our kids have access to that earlier.
Yeah, what's everybody on now? What's the account that everybody's on now?
I was going to say TikTok, but I think
No, it's racy.
Yes, I can't think of it.
Well, I can't think of the name, but I was alarmed when I heard that girls in school, you guys might know about this more than I do. I've been listening to stories about girls that are saying they don't want to deal with boys. They're going to wait till they're 18 and go on OnlyFans. That's the name of it. And so that hurts my heart a little bit because they decided boys are just going to hurt them. They don't want to catch anything or be hurt in any way. So they're going to just wait till they're 18 and get an account with something like that and be in charge of their own destiny. And I just find that sad because there's got to be something in the middle, right?
Yeah, and I think a part of that is how we use and consume media.
Yeah.
And what we see is not reality. You know, that is not how you enter a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what healthy relationships look like. And there's always ways to stand up for yourself, pivot, say no at any time. And so I don't think our media is helping us out at all.
No,
not
I
at
think
all.
what you do is so important. And I love that you have multiple access points at 5th grade and at 9th grade, grade especially, because that's when I feel like most people start to feel mature and ready to do, sexual.
And that's 9th grade, you said?
Yeah, freshman year.
Not for boys. It's got to be younger.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think 5th grade, all those magazines told me so, and I was a kid growing up.
well, I'm saying just, the point being that like younger and also like getting into high school, because I feel like that's when people really start to feel a little bit of independence and they have a little more alone time and they are hanging out, with their friends without parents more. So,
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of the classes and the information that we're sharing is you are your own self and you need to figure out what feels right and comfortable for you. And then once you understand that, what do you need to do to make sure you're safe and healthy?
Yeah.
And you still are safe and healthy tomorrow. And that decision might be different and sometimes okay too. But I think there's that self-awareness that we're going to tell you the gamut. Like we're going to talk everything from abstinence is a decision, and that's a possibility, and that's healthy. And then for those of you that are going to be sexually active, that's healthy too, but we want to make sure you understand and know how to protect yourself. And you consider all the parts to it, the physical, the emotional, how it affects your relationships.
Do you ever have a workshop just for the boys to give them some kind of input and ingrain in their mind that they should know when a girl is not wanting the advances as opposed to wanting the advances? Because maybe they get confused sometimes. And then, you know what I'm saying? So I just wonder, like, is there anything for boys just to have some sort of educational tool to realize that when a girl is saying no, she really means it?
So to back it up a little bit, we our classes, it really depends on the school on whether they're going to separate by gender.
Oh,
And so some of those classes do have the single gender. So then it really allows for a deeper dive into understanding some of those conversations. However, there's also merit when the classes are mixed gender, because then you can start adding different perspectives.
I think so.
To build that awareness.
Right.
So, we often let the schools lead that decision, just knowing their population best. And I think within the curriculums, we use a lot of video tools and break down, okay, let's look at this. So we just saw a woman who was dressed a certain way. Is that consent? Is she asking and getting permission for sex? And so we have that conversation.
It's a big deal.
Okay, yes, the body language looked like she was interested, but she still said no. So let's kind of talk through that. What does that mean? So I would say more scenarios to really get at that. And really the message is you have to hear the yes. And it has to be a continual just check-in. Like, is this okay? Do you still feel comfortable? And the person needs to be able to say that and make changes. You can always change.
Absolutely.
And then that other person needs to be receptive and respect that.
You cover everything. I love it. And with today, with people identifying with different gender status, it's got to be a little confusing because you have to have an entire group. So it probably is best to have the entire group together, just so nobody feels awkward or left out of any conversation.
And they do role playing too.
Oh, they do?
So, yeah.
Oh, like how? Give me an example.
So kind of, like video watching, and then we'll have some scenarios. So how would you handle it if you and a friend were at a party, your friend had been drinking, and an acquaintance comes up to them and says, do you want to go upstairs? And, what could you do as a friend? What could you do as that individual being approached? And then what's your responsibility if you are the one, asking and interested?
Right.
So really looking at different perspectives and, just that friends can help situations, and how can you be an upstander and support a friend and prevent things from happening and help people make good decisions.
That's wonderful.
Do you guys deal with teen pregnancy?
As far as within our classes, we definitely talk about pregnancy and birth control. And then with the time that we have, we really talk about resources. And so then that would be every person is going to handle that situation differently. And so we would refer out to different resources. And again, if I'm that trusted adult, I would walk alongside them and help them find those resources. About that.
Awesome.
We have a couple of our educators that do go into schools that work in our healthcare. And so again, they're great at making those referrals. And, now you know me by name and face. Come see me and we can talk about some of these, situations or decisions that you're making, or what you would like to do to be in charge of your body and your health.
Absolutely. I love that. My high school had a daycare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, seriously.
What, a high school with a daycare?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, teen pregnancy was a big issue for us.
Well, I think Red Canyon has that as well. But I don't know about both campuses, but yeah.
It's like an after-school special, you know, really. I just remember those when I was growing up. They used to have the after-school specials, and it was about teen pregnancy or anything that was a little touchy that you weren't talking to your parents about, and you would watch a show about it. And I found those to be very good. So you guys are like the zooped up version of what I used to watch on these little specials, but they taught you so much. They taught you a lot about everything, about disease and pregnancy and unwanted advances and everything like that. So with you guys here, and it's more tangible, it probably makes it more effective.
Well, and I think, we've talked about there was interest and need in the community, and that's kind of evolved. I had mentioned that consent is one of our main concerns that we're seeing right now, but it was teen pregnancy. That kind of led to a pivot in the education. And then I think in partnership with all of our community supports in healthcare and education, other nonprofits that are working with youth, there was a very united messaging around healthy relationships. If you're sexually active, make sure you know how to get protection and, have these conversations so we don't have unintended and unplanned pregnancy. And so over the years, we have seen major drops.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I don't like the idea of the unwanted advances part, but this is good news because, I mean, if it can change like that, then the dynamics of the other thing can also make a turnabout and change as well.
It's true.
So I find that to be very interesting. And just how many of you are in the organization? Like just you two?
Well, no, we have a board of 6 people.
Okay.
And then Kendra is our executive director.
Yay.
And we have some amazing health educators who go into the classrooms to do these, to administer the curriculum. And the health teachers and the schools in general are very grateful because they're not, teachers are not, they don't have the time or the expertise that we can bring in. So,
or the sensitivity, I'm sure, as well. Yeah.
And counseling too, maybe perhaps? Anybody on the counseling side of everything?
Oh, and they're aware of what we do for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that goes back to that referral.
Yeah.
Warm hand.
That's really nice. So you probably have connections with a lot of our different non-for-profit organizations or organizations in general that help kids that are in some kind of position that they don't want to be in.
Right. And I think part of something that's so great about our work and being able to go into the schools is we can provide the comprehensive sexual education. And so we don't bring our values or beliefs. We're going to present all the information to all students. And I think that is really important. So then everyone has the information and resources to make decisions for themselves. So that's really important. And then everyone feels trust and comfort with young people. And so we want to make sure that we expose our youth to many different adults in this community care, because my trusted adult might not be your trusted adult.
Exactly.
Go turn to somebody else. And that's really important to see.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept that Jen and I decided when we did the Chatbox. We wanted to get back mentally and health for your emotional well-being. And so we do kind of what you do. It's kind of like a gamut of people because not everything works for everybody. So we have you all on here so people can connect and identify with their situation through you guys. And then we might have somebody doing a sound bowl next week. Mm-hmm. So it's the same exact kind of concept where people get to pick and choose what works for them the best, where they feel the most comfortable, where they feel the most secure. And I have another weird question. Do you ever get kids that are just, they don't communicate with their parents and they don't have any idea as to what's going on?
Well, so leading up to the class, we provide a letter home that tells families about the topics that we're covering and gives some resources and connections, links to our videos. So families can be involved and continue that conversation. With that, we also allow families to opt out of the learning. And that's a family's choice. And then we also, in that situation, offer, we are resources. So if you want to share information and take it on yourself, we are here for you.
Okay.
And then I think within families, there's all kinds of
Dynamics. Yeah, for sure.
So I think there are families that probably, tell me what you heard today and what stuck with you and what was really interesting and what questions do you still have? And I know there's families that's not happening. And so we just want to make sure that
It didn't happen in my day either. Like, there was nothing to talk about. And if I came home upset, walk it off, you'll be fine. I mean, seriously, it was just take it and move on. So it was very different. And it's really remarkable how parents communicate with their children today as opposed to 30, 40 years ago. It's just remarkable. There's been a turnaround, and you can see it in the kids that just seem so wise and so ahead of their years. And they all seem to have these old souls that I run into, and they're magnificent, and they care about even politics. You see like 20-year-olds spewing off on politics. I'm like, really? I mean, I didn't care about any of that stuff when I was their age, but it's just a difference in the way we are today than any other. And even like the 20-year difference between you and I, it was different being raised. Did you have a connection with your family where you could talk about or uncomfortable stuff?
I would say yes with my mom, definitely not my dad.
Okay.
But I don't remember necessarily having like a birds and the bees conversation.
I don't remember that at all.
But we did have, sex ed. We did, we were able to talk about it amongst our friends. So we had, it was called Life Choices, which was a pregnancy center where you could get all of the information you needed. So there was definitely, I think because teen pregnancy was such an issue within our community, it was taught to us at various stages of our life. So it was something we were familiar with, through our school system as well. So I never felt blindsided by it, and I definitely not with the parents, having the chat, but, the information was definitely there. And because AIDS was a big deal at the time too. And so there was a lot of, I remember the Kids movie. You remember the movie Kids?
Kids?
Kids. It's the most terrifying movie I've ever seen in my life. And it has a documentary-esque style, but it's about AIDS and through a teenage community. I think they're in New York or Baltimore, somewhere east.
Yes.
But it's one of those movies that feels so real and teaches you how easily, AIDS can be spread to that community when you don't know and you're not protecting yourself. And that was
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's so good. I highly recommend
Kids, everybody.
Kids, yeah.
We're going to watch it when you get home.
But yeah, that definitely, I think there were definitely resources when I was growing up, that discussed all of these. And I think it's such important work what you guys do, because it's, even when I grew up, there was a lot of disinformation about AIDS and how you could get it. And so.
Absolutely. When you're fearful of something, you never properly can get or give the right information. You have to not be afraid to learn about anything and
to ask any question.
Yeah, all the questions need to be asked. And thank God for you guys, because a lot of places at home are not the place to ask the questions, and you don't feel like you can. I will never approach any of my parents with these questions.
That's what I mean. So it's nice to have those as resources where you could walk in by yourself.
Exactly.
And take care of you and protect your privacy. And that was a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Where, you would sign a paper and it would basically be, them telling you that they're holding your privacy and they're not going to share this information unless, there's something, that with the law might be involved.
Yeah.
They might have to. So do you guys also offer that kind of privacy in counseling?
Excuse me.
So as going into these schools as educators, we are mandated reporters. And we share that with the students that we create a safe classroom to discuss. However, if we did hear or see anything concerning, we are mandated reporter and obligated for a student's own safety and safety of others. Report. So very transparent and letting them know. And again, that's that trusted adult that we're here to help and support. And absolutely.
Where were you when we were growing up? My God, it's such an advancement in learning abilities for kids and young people and all of that. And I mean, that's what I like about this community. They even put kids in theater now. And there's so many more things that you can involve your child with, so they don't only focus on the sex or drugs, or you know what I'm saying? Because like if you keep their minds busy, I feel like they'll be geared towards something more interesting and better than just running around and, you know, just beating your brains out.
Well, and curiosity is healthy, and so I think,
It's healthy to a point.
exactly. And I think there's merit to exploring.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
with safety, health, and the correct information.
Sure.
And I think we could learn from our kids to explore with curiosity and be open and learn. And
I love that
perspectives too. So I think there's a lot that we could learn from our kids.
Oh, I agree. I learn from children all the time. Well, I wouldn't say children, but like young adults, I learn from them all the time. You know, I just think it's remarkable to sit and listen to I think that they have more articulate conversations than some of these crazy ass adults that we have running around out there. I'm not kidding. I mean, my God, the senseless talk that adults throw back to each other, it almost seems like it's been reversed. They're in the junior high and the kids have taken over the adults.
Right. And that is something that's really challenging because we're grateful that our teachers and our schools allow us to enter the classrooms and have this time because there's so much to cover, but it would be amazing if we had that much more time to sit and really listen and understand and explore together. So I would love that opportunity.
Yeah, that would be great. Maybe you should have a big event where you go to State Bridge and bring everybody there and have a big old talk, and then they get to go play in the river after that.
We need more snow.
Yeah, I know. For the summer, I am so worried about the summertime without the snow, but we do supposedly have it till Thursday. What they say and what happens are two totally different things, but not with you guys. What you say and what happens is the exact way it's supposed to be, and that's why I'm so grateful that you guys do what you do here. Do you have anything special coming up? Do you have any kind of events or, learning things for the kids or adults?
Actually, next Tuesday, we have one of our free testing events. We are partnering with Mountain Pride and Mirabus.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this on the phone. I love that.
We will be at Mirabus's location in Lake Creek. So again, a community place.
Yeah, it's right there in Edwards.
Comfortable, helping to build that community of, let's get tested, let's get information, reduce the stigma, but also increase access. So removing barriers of transportation and cost and language. So we've got a lot of supports there. So we will be there on Tuesday from 12 to 4.
12 to 4 on Tuesday. So that's something that everybody should go to just to get an idea as to what you all do. And they can really embrace you that way because sometimes you can hear what people do, but if you see it for yourself, then it really has a bigger impact.
Well, if you would like to volunteer, we could use a couple of books.
Oh, yeah?
Reading people, because
I can read. What? If you need volunteers, please look after us because this one works real normal hours. So, but I'm flexi. So maybe if you need somebody, I'd be more than happy to help. And if you're available.
Interesting because, I volunteered many times over the years when we've had our free events, and it's, the kind of questions people ask and how they come and how they feel about it. You just get a sense of some fear, apprehension. They wouldn't be coming unless there was some question maybe in their mind.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is fear-based because what you don't know about is where you become dangerous to yourself. Because if you don't have the proper tools or the proper education or mindset, things can go a little crazy.
Right. Well, it can be embarrassing, right?
Very embarrassing.
And you're self-conscious about
oh, yeah.
Not, especially if your parents aren't comfortable talking to you about something like this.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you've been talking about your body parts is embarrassing, like needing testing is embarrassing. All of it is.
This is something that still lives with me, but I was always small-chested. And my dad would have bets. This is why I didn't talk to my parents about things because they were so annoying and obnoxious and embarrassing, very embarrassing. He would have a bet with everybody in the family that I would not have booze by my next birthday. So it was just a dollar bet, but he would always slam the dollars in my face. I'm getting rich off you. I'm like, do you understand that you were traumatizing me right now? I didn't know he was traumatizing me either. I just felt like
young.
I was so young, and I'm still looking for him.
That is not on our script sheet, but however, I think we all need tools and conversations and resources. So I wish
I wish I had you when I was little. But it's true. And look, I do look at the time, and I think he thought he was funny. And I don't think he was trying to emote any kind of mental issues with me, but he did it anyway. But I know he wasn't, it wasn't malicious.
right.
He thought it was so funny.
Yeah, and I think when you're uncomfortable or scared,
They like it more. They get a bigger kick out of it.
We've talked about family maybe not being a place where you feel comfortable to get the help you need, ask the questions or have these conversations. But I think also, in a broader sense, some cultures it doesn't feel comfortable to have these conversations or want to express myself this way or engage in sexual activities too. So, trying to help people find their support in their community in a larger community too, which might be outside of your family.
I think it's wonderful because everything I did that was naughty was like sneaky. I didn't do anything with my parents' permission. Anything I thought was taboo, I would sneak off and do. But I didn't have you all in my world to tell me that's silly, or to give me different ideas to embrace instead of just going for that one thing that I thought I really needed to be curious about, and that's when you can expand kids' minds and open them up to different things and excitement and things like that. And I just think that when you're bored, I think that's when you get in trouble. But if you have activities, then, you're not getting in so much trouble. But you just told me Red Canyon has a daycare.
Well, I don't know if it's an official daycare, but they do arrange for babysitting so the pregnant or single mom, and maybe they're not even single moms, but teenage moms can continue with their schooling.
Absolutely.
And their schedule is very flexible too.
And with the laws changing every day, kids are not sure what to do, and they don't know that they have options. And I'm not saying that anything is a good option or a bad option, but we are all allowed to make our own decisions in our life. And we can't have that taken away from us,
Right. Yeah. And to find that community that can support for whatever situation and choices.
Right.
So you guys are celebrating your 50th anniversary? 30. Oh, I said that before. You've been here 50 years. 50. So you're celebrating your 30th anniversary. That's really big. Are you going to do anything special to celebrate?
Yeah, we're planning. We're planning to do some things. There's 2 other organizations. We have so many wonderful nonprofits.
I know.
And lots more coming. I saw your podcast on the Reconnect. That was wonderful. Yeah. There were, 62 or something for Colorado Goose Day, a huge number.
Wow.
And every one of them has a niche, that's not being addressed in any other way. And so we try, of course, not to duplicate services. We try to work together and collaborate. So there's 2 other organizations that are celebrating their 30th anniversary. Vail Valley Charitable Fund.
Oh my God, I love that. We've been with them, Bowling Your Boobs.
Yeah, Bowling Your Boobs. And Small Champions. I don't know if you Small Champions.
Yes, I've heard of them as well.
Yeah, they do wonderful work. So we're going to do some things with each other.
Great.
Promoting each other through the media. See how, as a nonprofit, why we formed, what the purpose was at the beginning, but then how things have changed in 30 years. Things have changed. The community's changed. The world has changed. I don't know that we would have this comprehensive program now in the schools if it wasn't for the AIDS epidemic.
Wow.
That was the response. We responded to that need, and then it morphed into, okay, it's not just HIV now. It's sexual education. It's sexual diseases. It's sexual health. It's sexual well-being. It's your well-being as a human being. So we've grown in that way. And I think that's one of the reasons when you mentioned why did we change our name to Peer?
Right.
Because Red Ribbon was specifically
for just that. And you wanted to open up the...
Right. And we wanted an empowerment. You said empower. So you like that word, empowerment.
I really do.
Yeah. So that's what our mission is just to promote empowerment.
I love that.
Amongst youth, and not just youth, but the entire community.
Well, and it's important because I think that's, talking about like feeling so embarrassed and self-conscious and you're not going to take action. You're going to hide, you're going to isolate. And if you look at your sexual health as something that's natural and it's something to celebrate, to be curious, to be curious about it in a healthy way, then you do feel empowered, and you do feel empowered when you know your body and you feel good about your body. And I think sexual health is such an important part of that.
Absolutely.
It's an important part of mental health too. And that's a focus.
That's why we have you here, because this all consumes our mental and emotional well-being.
Yes.
All of this all comes back to exactly why we're here. And so this is an amazing conversation, and we love all of the things that you guys do. And I'm super proud. 30 years. What are you going to do? Can we bring up a present?
So humble, but we are going to have a legacy luncheon. So really finding and bringing back all the founders to celebrate the fact that they brought everyone together and recognize the importance of this topic, HIV/AIDS, and then responsive to what does our community need. And I think there's a lot of power in coming together and saying our community needs access. Like our community needs access to information, our community needs access to prevention.
Right.
And I think, we've talked about the HIV/AIDS epidemic. There's a lot of history that we can learn from so we don't repeat. And
Definitely.
People feel alone and isolated and othered, and the stigma should never have occurred.
Shame should never be part of the emotion behind anything.
And it's good to look back and recognize how it's changed.
Yeah, it's just amazing how much you see the change in everything. But it's remarkable.
And, we also want to honor the community organizations that have supported us all these years, like Valley Cares, so many organizations.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Valley Cares is the thrifty store, right? I love the thrifty store.
And how does our community support you guys? Like, how can we get involved?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. We're part of Colorado Gives Day, so that's a big fundraiser for us. And then we usually have one other fundraiser as well. And we're going to do September is National Sexual Education or Sexual Health.
Yeah, I see that all over. When you drive through Edwards, it's like Sexual Awareness Month.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
There's some things. Kendra's been talking to the Eagle Library. They're going to do a display and maybe some films, some recommended books.
Nice. Maybe some kids too, right?
Some kids.
And maybe some adults.
Yeah, and then we'll have a fundraiser as well. We haven't quite decided what that's going to look like.
Well, when you do get your fundraiser and all the information together, let myself and Jen know so we can let everybody know where it's going to be and how they can go and just participate. And maybe you'll have a silent auction that people will donate to.
We will.
Great. See, that's important too. And it brings everybody together. That's why they start the word fundraiser with FUN. Because seriously, there's always an exciting experience when you are doing a thing for raising money. Think about all the fundraisers we have here, like the Black Diamond Ball. I got to go once. That was enough. I'm not in the right tax bracket to go to that every year. But I was invited. I was invited.
EFAC with them.
Yes.
Project Fund.
We volunteer for that.
Oh, do you? Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
And I mean, it is so much fun just seeing that.
It's amazing with the nonprofits doing this.
It's all fun
amazing.
and fundraisers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we would love to support you in any way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we are coming up on our hour, believe it or not. How do people reach out to you? And if they would like to get guidance, information, or find out about anything with you guys, how do they find you?
We have a website.
Okay.
It's promotingempowerment.org. And then our email is also info@promotingempowerment.org.
Gotcha.
They stole my word.
Yeah, right? It's a good one.
Promotingempowerment.org. That is I'll never lose that in my brain.
No,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, you ladies do such a wonderful job with not only the kids, but then it trickles down, or trickles up, I should say, to the family and the adults back at home. And everything that you do is an altruistic, beautiful thing. So I can't thank you enough for everything that you all do in our community.
Oh, thank you, Liz and Jen, for having us. It's been wonderful.
Do you have any final questions?
No, just thank you so much for educating us. I didn't know this existed here, but I'm not raising children through the system right now, but know that you exist is just amazing. And, I think this is such an important part of raising children and having this as a resource. And not just for children, for adults. The testing that you do is amazing.
Yes.
That's a huge...
And there's a lot of new diseases, it feels like, that I don't remember when we...
Well, there's a lot of old diseases that are coming
back because they're not vaccinated.
Well, people are, just say, oh, not anymore, not today.
Right. I mean, I call COVID the common COVID now. It's like, oh, I got the common COVID.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
true.
saying? Like, it's
Yes,
true. It really is. But I'm more afraid of an HIV situation than a COVID situation any day. Well, this is Peer, everybody, promoting empowerment with Eagle River County. And Paula Palmatier, who's been there since the inception, and the founder, and Kendra Coles, the executive director, which I'm really, really excited for you. And you guys do an amazing thing for our community. Thank you so much for promoting empowerment within the Eagle County range. And we love you guys. Thank you for being
We love you
here.
too. Thanks for doing this.
Yay, we are the Chatbox, your mental health and wellness podcast here in Vail Valley. We come to you from High Five Access Media. Wonderful guests every week, and we'll see you again real soon.